Hello, and welcome to Geek the F Out. Hello. It is just me today. Johnny, unfortunately, isn't feeling the best. So it's just me, myself, and I. But I am joined by some pretty awesome people here. We have Mr. Brick Something. Welcome.
Can I be myself?
Huh?
Nothing. Go ahead.
Okay. We have Colleen of the broadcast.
Hello.
Welcome. And we have Mr. Nostalgia himself, Jonathan. Welcome. Thanks everyone for being here. Excited to talk about Rings of Power Season 2. And also, happy Indigenous Peoples Day. The only Chris Columbus we celebrate today are the one that did the movies. So, yeah.
That's right.
I think now it's just Italian American Heritage Day, right? And Indigenous People Day, like it's a joint holiday.
Take it.
Sure.
You can take it, Colleen. It's yours.
We'll go with that.
That was
It's all yours.
That's you know, you get the emails of the sales. I had.
Oh, are they actually calling it that? I haven't seen
Yeah,
that.
like I didn't know it was a thing, and then I read it was like, you know, sales for Indigenous people on Italian American Heritage Day.
Oh,
So I was
well,
like, oh wow, that's a thing.
Interesting.
Look at
Cheers.
them living together
Cheers.
peacefully, selling
Nice.
iPads for 50% off at Target.
Oh, that's
Wow.
great. All right. Well, let's say hi to the chat real quick and then we'll get into things. Nick Dillinger is here. Mark, croissant, potata. What is with all these foods? Brandon Durant, Ray Paz. Let's see, Darth Gutierrez, Elijah, and I'm a yo boy. Welcome. And yeah, so I wanted to get everyone's background on Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power real quick, just maybe a few sentences tops. So your history with Lord of the Rings and very briefly what you thought about season 1, liked it or not. Brick, we'll start with you.
Hi, I'm Brick Something. I grew up with the cartoons. I don't know if people remember way back in the day, Rankin Bass did some cartoons. Then Bakshi did a cartoon that was wild and blew me away. And super got into fantasy through Tolkien. Read the books. I had to read it. One of them, The Hobbit, in high school. And then in college, I did that. And so kind of into the books, but really, I think like many people around me, it was all about the movies, which I know Kayla knows something about. And then I was really excited to hear that they were going to do this years back and kind of wondered how that would work. And I will say that I really did enjoy the first season and I had a lot of fun with the season 2. So
Nice. What about you, Colleen?
I grew up reading the books. I also remember the cartoon, but yeah, my dad read me The Hobbit when I was in, I want to say maybe middle school, and then I read the actual Lord of the Rings books on my own in 8th or 9th grade, whatever it was. My childhood dog was named Strider, so big fan going back.
That's so cute.
Yeah. And then I liked season 1 as well. I know that there were a lot of people that thought it was slow when it was coming out, but I really enjoyed it for, taking its time and, giving us so much. And I rewatched season 1. I think we rewatched it in like 3 or 4 days right before season 2 came out. And honestly, I thought that people were too hard on it the first time around. I liked it. Was it slow? Sure, but it was not bad. It doesn't have to be bad.
Yeah, totally.
What was the other
What about you,
question I was supposed to
Jonathan?
answer? Okay. I'm done.
I think you answered it all. Yeah, you're good.
Time's up, Colleen.
Time's up.
So I'm not as well versed as these two. How do I do? So no cartoons or anything. My first experience with it was when the films came out in high school, and I remember seeing the movie a second time. I think it was like senior skip day in high school. And it was just like, for whatever reason, I'd already seen it once, but I was so tired and like I think it's the only time I ever fell asleep in a movie. Not to say anything about the movie, but I fell asleep in it the second time.
Oh no.
I loved the movies. We actually just rewatched this week we rewatched the extended cuts.
Ah,
Has to be
Like
extended
9
every
hours.
time.
It's intense.
Mhm.
Man, I love it so much. Now, Hobbit movies are fun, but they just don't meet the expectations of Lord of the Rings. As far as the show,
Mhm.
loved the first season, absolutely loved it. And the second
Mhm.
season, yeah, there were maybe a couple moments where I was a little like, whatever, but overall, I love everything that's happening. There's nothing to
Mhm.
complain about for me. So you won't get that from this guy. And as much as I like to
Yeah.
complain, see, it's all fireworks.
Yeah. Really quickly, I'm like, I don't even know where to begin with Lord of the Rings. I guess I do. So we randomly got the Two Towers on DVD for like at a White Elephant exchange, and I remember watching it and like I liked it, but I wasn't super into it yet. And I think it was like seventh or eighth grade. We went to a Christmas party at a family friend's house, and me being the only child I am, I was dragged along and I was the only child there. And so my parents' friends were like, if you want to just go to like one of the rooms and watch a movie, like feel free. So that's what I did. And I watched Fellowship of the Ring, and it's been downhill ever since then. By downhill, I mean uphill, because it's just gotten more and more of of an obsession as the years have gone on. I have 2 tattoos, including this one, that are Lord of the Rings, and I've been to Hobbiton and all over New Zealand and a bunch of the film sets and locations and whatnot, and Weta, and I've met Sir Richard Taylor. I've met all 4 of the OG hobbits. Actually did that last year. And yeah, it's kind of an obsession, but I love it. And I love the first season. Obviously, it's not perfect. It's not, exactly like the lore or the stories and whatnot, but I still loved it. And I felt like it was like the perfect first season in terms of setting up this whole world. So yeah. Shall we get into the episodes? Pretty much how we'll do this is go through each of the episodes, spend maybe like 10 or so minutes briefly talking about them. I'll give summaries and, give some notes. And then after we're done with that, we'll talk about season 2 in general and our overall thoughts on the season, as well as predictions for next season. And then we'll do some That's What They Saids at the end, because this is Geek DF Out, and we always do that. All right, so season 2, episode 1, Elven Kings Under the Sky, and this is from Wikipedia. At the dawn of the Second Age, the Dark Lord Sauron is seemingly killed by an army of orcs and their leader Adar. But his spirit endures and forms a new body over thousands of years. Taking the name Halbrand, he helps the elves forge 3 rings of power before his identity is revealed. High King Gil-galad believes they have no choice but to use the rings against Sauron, while his herald Elrond objects. Elrond escapes with the rings and takes them to Círdan, the oldest and wisest elf in Middle-earth, who agrees to help until he sees the rings and believes them to be true perfection. Círdan, Galadriel, and Gil-galad put them on, and the power of the elves is restored. The stranger, a wizard who is regaining his memories, and the Harfoot Nori Brandyfoot get lost on their way to the land of Rune. They are followed by Nori's friend Poppy Proudfellow, who brings Harfoot maps to help them find their way. In Mordor, Halbrand is brought to Adar and reveals that Sauron has returned. He offers to go to Rhaegon, the elven realm where the rings were forged, while Adar raises his army to attack Sauron. Dun dun dun. All right, thoughts on this first episode? Because my first thought was, what is with this fake Sauron? I didn't know what was happening quite yet. So I was like, Faron? Fake Sauron? What's going on here?
I like that we got the backstory of what happened.
Mhm.
I really like that. I like that it was very clear that the pacing was going to change this season, which at Comic-Con, they also made that very clear. And they
Mm.
showed the overall season 2 trailer. I believe it was 2 or 3 times because we're so excited by this season. I'm not kidding.
Damn.
Yeah. No, but I liked it a lot. I think it really set up the season very well. And yeah, somebody else can talk now.
It was a good example of his power level that had, like, you don't really know. I mean, you just if you, I mean, let's take it from my perspective of just watching some movies. Having season 1, you never really got the sense of like how strong he really was. And then obviously this whole season is about that. But even just like that burst of power after he's wiped out by everybody at once, it's just like throws everything over. It was just like, it was way more intense than I thought that he was supposed to be.
Yeah,
definitely. I think the opening, it's funny, it reminded me, like, it's this whole production is kind of like, they want you to look at it as sort of like a continuation of the Jackson films, but like it's not, but they want you to.
Yeah.
So if I look at it like
callbacks to them.
Yeah. If I look at it like the second movie of that first trilogy, The Two Towers, it does that little kind of like flashbacky moment where they're kind of reminding you what happened at the end of the Fellowship. And that was kind of like, it was interesting to start that way. It was a little bit of a flashback and a rewind to kind of catch you up. I like that.
Yeah.
I agree. It was a little off-putting to go with the different actor, but it was also kind of fun because that happens again later with like a different actor. I was like, wait, is this intentional or what? So, but I liked seeing that. I liked sort of seeing Sauron's dynamic with Adar and the orcs or Uruk or goblins or whatever. Sorry, I get confused as to what they are. And Kayla, I'm going to ask you to help, and Colleen to clarify that. But
yeah.
But I like going back
by many names.
Do they? Are they kind of like interchangeable-ish?
They're orcs, but for some reason Adar is like set on calling them Uruk. So, because they're not Uruk-hai, because that's only in like Lord of the Rings.
Okay.
So,
well, it's like, I love that they went back, and I love that whole scene of him sort of being killed, and then it was just like morbidly, like it was kind of morbidly beautiful, kind of like turning black ooze, and then you kind of see him turn into like
Venom.
Yeah, he turned into Venom, a symbiote, and then it was like little criggly crawler centipede type things, and I like that whole scene. I enjoyed that. It was kind of a nice, like, weird start to this new season, and I kind of wondered if someone wasn't really watching season 1 and then saw this one, what they would have thought. But I liked it. It's a fun way to start.
Yeah, I think you definitely have had to watch season 1, which is good because I hate when they play into, just the common viewer. But I mean, clearly they do that a lot with all the callbacks to Lord of the Rings, but I'm okay with that because I love those movies. And I felt like they did less of that this season, but we can get more into that later. Let's see if I have, I wrote down appearing in fair form to hide his true self, which is what Galadriel was saying. I was like, okay, so you're pretty much calling Sauron hot. You can just say it. I thought that was a funny line. Let's see if I had anything else. I think that was pretty much it. All right, shall we move on to episode 2?
Let's do it. Sure.
All right, episode 2, Where the Stars Are Strange. The ongoing eruption of Mount Doom causes an earthquake in the dwarven realm of Khazad-dûm that destroys their infrastructure and leads to the withering of their crops. King Durin III and his son, Prince Durin III, refuse to reconcile despite the crisis. Galadriel has a vision of Celebrimbor's death and asks to go to Eregion. Gil-galad agrees if Elrond leads her company, and Círdan convinces the reluctant Elrond that it would be better for him to guide his friends rather than abandon them. In Rhûn, a dark wizard sends a group of riders to capture the stranger. Using a staff that he finds, the stranger summons a sandstorm which drives the riders off. He loses control, the staff disintegrates, and the storm sweeps Nori and Poppy away. Sauron poses as Halbrand at the gates of Eregion and refuses to leave. Though he promised Galadriel he would never talk to Halbrand again, Celebrimbor does not know he is Sauron and eventually approaches him. Halbrand convinces Celebrimbor that he is Anatar, the Lord of Gifts, an emissary from the Valar who has come to help make rings of power for dwarves and men. So yeah, Anatar reveal. Everyone was wondering how the frick they were going to do that. That was pretty exciting because they were like, wait, how is Halbrand going to come back as Anatar and Celebrimbor not recognize him? So I liked how they did that in this episode. What did you guys think of this episode?
I mean, it's so hard to remember at this point for some of these. Rick, you got some thoughts?
I don't specifically around this episode. Like I said earlier, I was like, oh, I'm going to need the reminder. So the summaries are helping, but that one was particularly general. I'm trying to remember what exactly.
So the dweller, those like 3 people, but I think it was just the dweller came back via the dark wizard. We don't know. And yeah, we saw the dark wizard. Oh, and the guys with the like gold masks, which apparently they added in post-production. Like those characters didn't have masks originally, which is very interesting. And I was like, what is this, like Mad Max? Especially, you know, in the desert and everything.
Yeah. Yeah, it felt like Star Wars masks or something to me.
Yeah.
Or it was just like this.
They felt a little out of place for sure.
Yeah.
So this is the, like you said, the desert dwellers. That's what we're talking about. The people that are kind of hunting down the halflings. Is that who?
Remember the bald
bad guest
character with the white robes? The dark wizard turns the moths back into the dweller. So that's like their particular name because they don't have a specific name.
I love everything in that area because it is kind of like we don't know. At least again, I never came across them in like Tolkien lore, but that whole area, this is like the east, I guess, right? Or the
in Rune.
Yeah, and like there was
it's actually the western part of Rune, but Rune's in the east. It's a whole thing.
Right. So it was like the whole dark wizard thing is kind of neat because it's an unknown. Like that's not something that we learned. There's like, I guess there's hints. This is all stuff that I've just heard other people talk about. There's hints that maybe some of the other wizards that came to Middle Earth, the blue wizards, I think, might have become kind of dark wizards. So I was excited at that part because it felt like totally new and unexplored. So yeah, I agree with you on the look of things felt very maybe out of place, but then I was also kind of like, well, this is like a whole other place and culture and stuff. So I was kind of just going with it. But anyway, that was the character that intrigued me the most. And I'll just say this now for the entire season. I wish we got more of them, the dark wizard and those people. I felt like that was one of the things that I wanted to know more.
To have more of him next season, it felt like. But hopefully. Yes. Yeah. Colleen, any thoughts on episode 2?
I'm sorry. I opened up to look at the Uruk and it shut my computer down.
Oh no. So, you're fine. I was going to say I liked that Disa's beard was more obvious this season than last season. I feel like last season it was like a few kind of hairs or whatever. And also Poppy and Nori blending in plain sight, just like Frodo and Sam did at the gates of the Black Gates. I thought it was a good callback. And of course, freaking the stranger's just standing there. He's like, wait, where'd they go? Where do I go? Like, that was cool. Just shows how well they can, hide so quickly.
Yeah.
Oh, I also think, especially from this episode, that this season is a lot more spooky than last season, which is perfect for Halloween time right now. I don't know if you guys got that vibe as well.
No.
No.
It definitely dealt with darker themes.
Yeah.
For sure.
No. Jonathan, do you not get scared at all?
No. Unfortunately, no.
Excuse me.
All right. Shall we move on to episode 3?
Yes.
All right.
Trying to recall.
Episode 3 is The Eagle and the Scepter. Summary for this is, though Isildur is presumed dead in the eruption of Mount Doom, his horse Beric finds him alive in a nest of giant spiders and helps him escape. On his way to Pelagir, an old Númenórean colony, Isildur comes across a young woman named Estrid, who secretly bears Adar's brand. They are attacked by wild men who steal Beric and are saved by an elf, Arondir, who is grieving the loss of Bronwyn, the woman he loved. Bronwyn's son Theo dismisses Arondir's attempts to comfort him and offers to help Isildur steal Beric back. As they are doing this, Theo and the wild men are captured by something unknown. In Númenor, Isildur's sister Eärien, God, her name is hard to say, causes outrage when she reveals that Queen Regent Muriel has been using an elvish palantir, crystal ball. A great eagle arrives at Muriel's coronation following the death of her father, King Tar Palantir, and Lord Belzegar, a supporter of Muriel's cousin Pharazôn, claims that this is a sign of support for Pharazôn. Celebrimbor and Anatar ask the dwarves for mithril so they can make more rings of power. Durin the Third provides it, despite Durin the Fourth's distrust of Anatar. And that's the episode. So do we think that's Shelob, the spider?
Is that
Or Shelob's
Yeah, that crossed my mind.
kids?
Or
A lot of
ancestors,
people-
right? Because this would be the before.
Yeah, but Shelob's like really fucking old.
Yeah,
So they think that these might be her kids. I don't know. Yes, episode 3 has BSE, Big Shelob energy. That's for sure. Yeah, and we also see that there are baby orcs, which don't know how I feel about that.
Yeah, right. Talk about humanizing the orcs here.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah. Let's see. Oh, I did like how they're trying to parallel Isildur and Aragorn with, Beric coming back for him because, Aragorn's horse was very attached to him as well. And, he came back to him after he fell into the river.
Yes.
There's my co-host. Everyone say, hope you feel better, Johnny.
Feel better, Johnny.
Get rest.
Yeah.
I was making faces when you were reading the summary, particularly when you were having a hard time pronouncing
Oh God.
homegirl's name. Oh my God, she kills me.
Eärien.
All of the humans are really challenging for me. Everything happening in Númenor is really difficult to watch. And particularly her dynamic and her boy, whatever, the rich kid, Pharazôn's kid.
Oh, Kemen.
Yeah.
He can go poop in a pool. He
Right.
sucks.
So like
does
kudos
suck.
to the actors for their performances, I suppose. But I will just say the human stuff has been hard to watch, but like but interesting to kind of see the sort of like fall of Númenor and all of that take place. And just to pick up on something Colleen said, like I'm totally here for the humanizing of the orcs. I think at first I thought the whole like is he not Gandalf, which I thought that he was, but like the whole wanting to see him develop would be my most favorite part of this season. But there's something about how they ended up doing Adar and what Adar, that's his name? Yeah. Adar.
Close enough.
Or if you're glad.
Adar. Him and the Uruk and his children, all of that stuff has actually really been fascinating in terms of, because that's like totally not what Tolkien ever did. Like, I feel like Tolkien never really humanized. That. They're often kind of just like, we just follow the Lord Sauron, and you don't really get a sense of them.
Yeah.
There's a lot of criticism of how Jackson did his orcs and Uruk-hai in the movies, and also for racist reasons. So I appreciate the humanization, but also just very off-putting to see like woman orcs and baby orcs in
Well, I
general.
have actually, okay, so I was thinking about this
Okay.
too, especially having just rewatched the season finale, like 15 minutes before we started. And I think because Adar is revealed to not be this evil dude that he's portrayed to be either, just
Mhm.
kind of like, I think it's meant to see because Sauron, basically everything he touches turns to evil, and I think that it's just showing that the orcs were not the most graceful or even kind of what's the right word, they weren't the like most pure, like proudfoot hobbit type creatures, and they were created under not great circumstances, but there was still a bit of that like humanization to them. And then once Sauron took over, he just blackened their hearts the same way the rings destroyed men and the elves, and not the elves, I'm sorry, and the dwarfs. So I think it just goes to show the power of the dark side, of the Dark Lord,
The dark side.
what he did to make the orcs become what they became 1,000 years later when we were reintroduced to them.
Totally. Any thoughts on this episode, Jonathan? How about the fact that Bronwyn died? I mean,
That's
obviously
the
the
part I
actress
don't
didn't come
remember.
back. Yeah, we
Yeah.
don't see it. It
We don't
happened
see it.
because it didn't
in
really
between.
happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So was there something off
It was
camera?
She decided not to come back, and they decided not to recast her like they did with Adar. Yeah, that was pretty much it. So they had to figure out a way to kill her, which sucks because, like,
Yeah.
Love her and a Rondir, but also there's some complications because there's only been a few like men and elves relationships throughout history, so that would have kind of thrown a wrench in things in terms of messing with the lore. But I liked her.
I'm not as obviously deep into all this stuff as you all, but I did see a post and then people going on about like how it's already breaking canon and things and rewriting things, blah blah blah, and I was like, I mean, I don't care that it's doing that, but I didn't know it was doing any of that. I just it's something new, so I'm like, when I'm that fan, it's like, oh, it's something new to tell a thing. Is it supposed to be connected or not? I don't know, but at least
people
they
like to complain. They like to complain.
They do.
That's the answer to everything at the end of the day.
Yeah, it's no Star Wars, but
Oh God.
I don't know. I know some Star Wars fans who are also Lord of the Rings fans, and they were very vocal about how much they disliked last season and this season, and basically everything else. Actually,
that's when you
does
just go.
Their name
you
does
like
their
Star
name
Wars?
rhyme
Like,
with Rick?
Maybe.
Yeah.
No, but
I got.
yeah. Isn't what's his face? Elf guy. Isn't he?
Elrond?
Elrond, isn't he half human, half elf?
He is
Technically, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
half or quarter or something like that. I forget.
Yeah.
But yeah, he has human.
He is human.
Ancestors.
And
Yeah.
doesn't
He and his brother Elros were given the choice to like be human or be elf, essentially. So
I would've
Elrond
picked
chose
elf,
elf
too.
and Elros chose human. And Elros is the one who like started Numenor. Not started, but the Numenorians are descended from him, essentially.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the thing with this. Like, well, first I've gotten. I forget if we can curse here, but I've gotten stuff for enjoying this by Tolkienites, right? And so they're out there. You're just lucky, Jonathan. But I think in general,
so
there's a lot of people who kind of see this nerdy stuff that we all love, as like it's almost like it's like religion to them almost. It's like, and so it becomes like the sacred text. And so there definitely is a lot of frustration when they go a different way. But it's a trip because it's like this stuff was written so long ago in a time when storytelling was very different. So when I read Tolkien or look at Tolkien, it's very like there is a good, there is a bad, there is a light, there is a dark, there isn't a whole lot of gray. And then so like now they're trying to give it a little more nuance, and I think people are having a hard time with it, but I really enjoy that. So like we were talking about humanizing orcs, Like back, it was just literally like the orcs are bad. They're part of the
Mhm.
dark side. They're ugly. You're supposed to hate them, and right. And elves are beautiful, and you're supposed to love them. So
Mhm.
when they're playing with this stuff, I enjoy it. I totally understand why other people aren't, because there's something to be said about it not being the way Tolkien might have written it.
Mhm.
That said, I like
Yeah,
this
but
better.
he's not writing it. You know,
Right,
it's
exactly. That's it.
Yeah.
I like this
Tolkien's
And they
better.
for us.
also only
So,
have the Lord of the Rings to work from. They
Yeah, they
right.
only
don't
have the
have the
rights to the
Silmarillion.
appendices, right? Yeah.
Only for Lord of the Rings. They don't have anything else. They've gotten certain what's the word? They've gotten certain words, so like Anatar, I don't think is in the appendices. So like they've had to get permission for certain words or characters
Mhm.
Or even the
to use
Silmarils.
them.
They name check the
Yes, they did
Silmarils.
have to do the Silmarils. They did have to get the rights for that specifically, or permission to use that. It's all very complicated. I'm like, why didn't you just get the rights for everything? But also, I mean, there are a lot of holes in the history
Mhm.
that they're filling in. And I think I look at it as like a totally separate entity from
Yeah.
the lore. I quit. And I think that's kind of how you have to look at it anyways. And
Yeah.
it's fun. I like what they're doing with it. And, I think even if you are a crazy Tolkien scholar and know every little thing, I think you can still enjoy it. And like, I just love being back in that world personally. So yeah. Anyways,
Yeah. I just wanted
straying
to
off
say that
track a
kind
little
of
bit.
pretty early on in the season to kind of just like,
Mhm.
if you can't watch this and just be like, this doesn't adhere to this. I'm sorry, you just didn't get the job. You weren't hired to do that, to write this thing, and somebody else did.
Yeah.
And they're trying to do something that I think can appeal to modern audiences while, having some nods to the old stuff. And I don't know, I dig it.
Totally.
I dig it. And I do still think that I think I like the creative puzzle of trying to make
Mhm.
certain things fit, but then,
Mhm.
sometimes it doesn't always, but I don't know. I like it. So
Yeah.
that's my big
All
fancy.
right.
I like it.
Shall we move on to episode 4?
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. All right. Episode 4, Eldest. Elrond and Galadriel set out for Eregion. They come to a bridge that has been destroyed by lightning and are forced to take a more dangerous path. The stranger meets a mysterious man named Tom Bombadil. Yay! While Nori and Poppy find a community of halflings called Stores living in a desert canyon. The Harfoots are descended from a storer who left Rune in search of the Suzat, a place of green hills that he dreamed could be the home of halflings. Thank you for that information summary. Arondir deduces that Estrade is one of the wild men. She earns back Isildur's trust when he and Arondir are stuck in a... Someone
Sucked.
wrote this wrong. Get stuck
What?
in a mud pit. They put are sucked... Oh, just kidding. Are sucked into a mud pit. Inhabited by a nameless creature, and she helps free them. They are confronted by 2 Ents who captured Theo and the Wildmen in retribution for the felling of trees by Wildmen and by Adar's army. Arondir promises to protect the forest and capture... Oh my god, I'm reading the wrong line. And the Ents free their prisoners. One of the Wildmen is Hagen. Okay, random. Estrad's betrothed. That's why they're naming it. After fighting off Barrow-wights, Elrond and Galadriel find Adar's army. Galadriel gives her ring Nenya to Elrond and tells him to warn Gil-galad. Galadriel stays to hold off the orcs and is captured by Adar. Dun dun dun. So the Ents are back, which is very exciting. And we have Tom Bombadil.
Yes.
Very exciting
Tom,
episode.
Does he exist outside of this?
Oh yes, he's not in the movies because his part was cut out, but he's a big part
Mhm.
of the first book.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I like this character
He's
a
a
lot.
fun one. And he's been around for a long ass time. And
He's-
no one really knows like exactly what he is or like what his
Yeah.
powers are. So he's a very mysterious character.
Yeah,
Yes.
he's
And
sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna read Quip's comments. The only character unaffected by the ring. Yeah. Sorry, go
Yeah.
ahead, Colleen.
No, he's supposed to be, you know, one of the oldest first, you know, inhabitants of
Mhm.
Middle Earth, correct? And they don't know. He's like a wizard, but not a wizard at the same time.
Yeah.
He's got, very
We don't know.
fascinating though.
He is. I was very excited to see him in this. And also the bear whites. Bear whites were scary. You weren't scared of those, Jonathan? No.
What were those?
The like skeleton ghost creatures with chains that they had to fight. That
No.
Galadriel and
No,
Elrond
that
had to
wouldn't
fight.
scare me. Spooky to
I know,
you?
right?
That's okay if it was.
I'm not scared of it. It's just, you know, spooky.
It's like right in line with the Lord of the Rings stuff. It just felt natural.
Yeah. Mhm.
True.
Man, this episode was certainly fun. There's a lot going on here.
Mhm.
Yeah, I really don't know what else to say. This is the episode where we get. Oh, this is the episode after the stranger uses his power to create that like tornado.
Sandstorm. Yeah.
So this is like the
Yeah.
after,
Well, it picks up
right after that.
from there. Yes, and he gets sucked into the tree before he meets Tom Bombadil, which I thought was funny. But yeah, we get to see the stores, which is pretty cool. That
Yeah.
you know, not just Harfoots.
I like getting more of that. That's one of those things where they're kind of taking creative license to explain the different halflings or the different hobbits, I guess, the stores.
Mhm.
And I'm assuming I haven't heard it confirmed anywhere, but I'm assuming like Poppy and their sort of band of nomads eventually become, what are they called again? The Harfoots eventually
Mhm.
kind of end up at the Shire, maybe.
Yeah, so with them, the store is leaving their I just read it before, now I'm forgetting the name, but their home essentially. That's what, you know, people think is gonna happen, they're gonna go towards the Shire and settle
The
there.
Stores or the other one, the Harfoots? Well, it's
The
because
stores.
I thought the Harfoots
At least the
with
stores.
their
I don't know if the Harfoots eventually will, but
okay.
that's the theory
Well,
for the stores.
only because Smeagol was a store. Smeagol and what's it, Deagle? They were
Deagle, yeah.
Mhm.
stores, and then I thought they were far away from the Shire. And then anyway, I think it's kind of neat to kind of
Mhm.
see that whole again like different culture. Like they were living in this giant crater thing with a tree in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which was kind of neat, and the whole like wanting water because the stewards like Smeagol and Deagle, Smeagol becoming, that's Gollum, who becomes Gollum, like they were like water people, like, you know, remember in the beginning he's like fishing and jumping in lakes or rivers or whatever. So
Mhm.
it's always kind of like, oh, this is fun. I'm kind of like wanting to see what happens, how do they get there. So I really appreciated that part, and I love that, like, again, they created variety and diversity in this show that just didn't exist
Yeah.
in Tolkien's text. So it was like, oh, they've got like folks of color, like people that read as like, you know, with melanin, and like and these
Mhm.
folks read as black. This person reads as like they're like, you know, from Asia or like, you know, South
Mhm.
Asia. And I'm like, oh, that's kind of neat. And I don't know, I kind of like the idea that they were suspicious of the other Harfoots.
Yeah.
I'm into that kind of stuff. I like, so when people say like last season was slow, I like the slow. I kind of like seeing people interact and kind of figure out the world. My favorite part of Tolkien, while the plot is really cool, it's like, who are these people and what is this race of people and what is this magic and how does
Yeah.
it work? So I was kind of into that
Like
stuff.
deep into the
Yeah.
nitty-gritty of it.
Mhm.
So we see the Ents again, which is very exciting. I'm not sure how I liked their voices though. I think maybe just because they were different from the two towers and they were kind of echoey, I would say. What did you guys think of them?
I don't remember their voice.
I was gonna say,
Yeah. Did it have an effect? Did it not like?
Yeah, it sounded echoey to me.
Okay, but it wasn't like, because Treebeard had like a. I don't know how to
Yeah,
explain
yeah.
it.
It's like you could barely understand him.
elongated the woods. Is that what you're talking about?
So long.
But the neat part was that was an Entwife, right? And by the time
Mhm.
we see Treebeard, like they had gone missing or something.
Yeah.
Like all the
Yeah.
They lost
disappeared.
them. Yeah.
He's like, we lost them, and then Mary or Pippin's like, I'm sorry, and he's like, oh no, we like literally lost them. We don't know where
Yeah.
they went. Which I was like, wow, you're great partners, just losing them. And then we see that Galadriel's ring has powers, which is
None yet.
interesting. None, yeah. Mm-hmm.
None of your damn business.
None of your business. All right.
Do you know? Do
Anything-
people know the
Oh.
powers? I don't understand.
Well,
them.
that's the thing is,
Do
I
you
don't
know
think
what we
that
know?
was in the books. And they're unclear. And I think obviously as we're seeing, they're starting to learn of the powers, but I'm not sure which of these were actually, in the text for sure. Yes.
I read about this. I read about each one of them right after, in between my rewatch of 1 and starting 2.
Mhm.
And if I remember correctly, so let's see. Nenya is the ring of water.
Mhm.
Galadriel used it to protect and preserve the realm. Vilya is the blue ring. It means it's the ring of air. It's the mightiest of the 3. It's the one that Elrond ended up wearing. He
Mhm.
inherited it from Gil-galad. And then Narya is the ruby one. And
That Círdan has.
yes, it evokes hope and courage in others. Its final bearer was the wizard Gandalf, who received it
Mhm.
from Círdan, or however she would say it, at the Grey Havens during the Third Age.
Hmm.
Yep.
So yeah, because I was very
Perfect.
interested in that after watching them get forged in the finale. So
Yeah.
And does that
yeah.
kind of? I don't remember exactly how the power kind of what it did in this show, but do those map
In this
to with
I
kind of
think
what you're
this is
saying?
when
Like these are water. or
she
something?
healed someone. Oh, someone got an arrow in them or something? Where was this? It's just in my notes.
Mhm.
I don't have it like
well, they use it to heal her at the end of the season.
yes, they do.
And
well,
yeah.
they use both of them.
Yeah.
Let's
Not that I
see.
need it explained. I kind of always wondered
Yeah.
about like it's kind of the neat part about magic. I was just sort of
Ring
curious. 'cause
lore
I-
is cool. Yeah.
Yeah, and especially the show's
Mhm.
called Rings of Power. I'm kind of like, wait, like, because they kind of
What's
just
the
go into it.
power?
They're like, we need to save Middle Earth and save the elves. How? Let's make rings. Okay. Like, I didn't really
Yeah.
like, okay. So, I
So
don't know.
this is like they get attacked, right? And
Mhm,
one of
by
the elves
Barrow-wights.
gets shot with an arrow, and then she comes over there and heals
Yes.
them. And then
Hmm.
she's like,
Yes.
"Go, and I'll fight
Yeah.
them." And then she gives the
Mhm.
ring.
Yeah, that's
To
when they're in.
Elrond.
Yeah.
Man, she's a badass. That's
She
what
is.
we learn.
Yeah.
Total badass.
I love Galadriel.
Yeah, love of my life, I think. So that was super cool, but that's the only time I really saw powers from the rings, as far as like how that right.
Yeah. I mean, we
Or
see, yeah,
anything from
like
anybody else's specifically.
No, but we didn't really focus on the other ones. Like the
Mm-mm.
storyline,
And then
basically followed
Círdan.
Galadriel.
Yeah, Círdan isn't even there for like the second half of the season. But I mean, we see Gil-galad and Elrond using Nenya to heal Galadriel in the last
Yeah.
episode.
He shaves his beard and then he just disappears.
Yes.
We
does.
glossed over that Círdan. That was the guy who Elrond went to consult, right? You
Yes.
mentioned him earlier, but I wanted to, because I don't really, is he in the lore? I don't remember him. Is that-
Círdan?
Yeah, is that a thing?
Oh
or is
yeah,
it-
he's
Yeah.
literally like one of the oldest elves, which is why he has a beard.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right.
Otherwise, most elves don't have beards.
All right. And
All
he's
right,
he's
so-
like an artist, creator kind of
Yeah,
guy? Okay.
pretty much.
Maker.
yeah.
Neat.
From what I know, I don't know too much. All right, shall we move on to episode 5?
Okay.
Episode 5.
Okay. Episode 5, Halls of Stone. Durin the Third uses one of the new rings of power to help rebuild the dwarves' infrastructure and bring sunlight back into Khazad-dûm. The ring also makes the king greedy, and he dismisses a warning from Disa that they could be awakening something evil that lives beneath the mines. In Eregion, Anatar insists that they start work on the rings of power for men, but Celebrimbor refuses to be involved. When Durin the Fourth expresses his concerns about the dwarven rings to Celebrimbor, Anatar suggests that the negative impacts are being caused by Celebrimbor lying to Gil-galad about making more rings. Celebrimbor agrees to help make rings for men in an attempt to redeem his work on the dwarven rings. The new king of Numenor, our Farazan, tasks his son Kemen, the little bitch, with cracking down on members of the faithful who remain loyal to Miriel. Kemen interprets a memorial service that members of the faithful are holding. Interrupts. Why did I say interprets? Leading to a fight with Isildur's friend Valandil that ends with Kemen killing Valandil. Isildur's father, Elendil, is blamed for starting a riot and arrested. Elrond arrives in Lindon and warns Gil-galad. Justice for Valandil, because why do all the hot ones have to die?
Right.
What the fuck? Every time. Sucks.
Every time.
Every time. And Kemen can suck my dick. Like, he's such a dick. Like, as soon, like, as Valandil was about to kill him, I'm like, you should have fucking killed him because he's about to kill you. And guess what fucking happened? He killed him. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, and we see the doors of Durin, which is very exciting.
Yes, that was super cool.
Mm-hmm. Loved that.
Yeah, I was really excited about that.
Yeah, I loved all of the dwarf elf interactions because I know that like that's another thing I'm watching for is just kind of see how it like starts to disintegrate the relationships between the different free peoples of Middle Earths.
Yeah.
So I like seeing that. I liked sort of seeing the dynamic between. I'll say one of my favorite interactions pairs is Celebrimbor and Anatar or Sauron. I love their scenes together throughout this whole season.
Yes.
Yeah, the actor that plays Celebrimbor is definitely like MVP of this season. He was awesome.
Oh, especially the last episode. Damn. Yeah.
And I think the other piece of so back to meanwhile the humans suck. That whole like scene felt a little corny to me. The coronation, like this was that scene, the Farazan, right?
That was not this episode.
Oh, wasn't this one?
No.
I thought this was the eagle one.
But you can talk about it.
Oh, I'm
not
sorry, I'm
the
way
eagle
out.
one. It's
but
okay.
That one, anyway, whatever. It doesn't really matter. It's just like a tiny lore thing that this is the one time where I rubbed up against like, hey, the lore versus the thing is that like the eagles can talk in Tolkien.
Yes,
and I just wanted the eagle to be like, no, I'm not you.
I'm here for her.
I'm here for her. Or like, just like,
yeah.
Which
like
the eagles were like, pumped. They were used. And I don't know, it's just kind of weird.
Yeah.
Like,
it was very frustrating because on one hand, yes, would have been nice for them to talk, but also I think a little off-putting. Just to clarify things. But in my mind, I was like, oh, he's obviously there for Miriel. Like, this is just some dude walking up to it. Like, like why? Why they automatically assume it's Farazan then is weird to me, but whatever.
Right.
Anyways.
Sorry. That was
any other thoughts on this episode?
Nope.
About making more rings.
I don't yet totally understand the whole hesitance to make the rings for the humans, other than I guess like he's just he's anti-human, or he's like doesn't think that the humans can handle the power.
I think he doesn't think they can handle the power.
Right. Which we see Numenor, so he has a point.
Yeah.
But he seemed to have no problem being like, hey, dwarves, take a couple.
Well, it was after what's his face Prince Durin came and
Right,
said,
and
"Hey, there's
asked.
something wrong with
There's
these
something up.
rings that, you know,
Mhm.
even though Celebrimbor was beginning to be under Anatar's spell, where he
Oh, I
wasn't
see.
really seeing reality, there was still part of his, like, you know, psyche that was still in there being like, no, this is wrong, we can't do that."
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, you're right. So then that
Yeah.
maybe made him even more hesitant to make more rings. Got it.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm,
Where he was like,
that
we
makes
gotta
a little
work
bit
these
sense.
kinks out before we give these to
Yeah,
humans, the most corruptible of all.
they
Yeah.
suck.
Yeah, which we do. I mean, fair.
Yeah. Very corruptible. Okay. Shall we move on to the next? Episode 6.
Yes.
Where is he? All right. Summary is right. Let me move it over so I can see the whole
Oh,
thing.
sorry, I didn't realize that was the title. I thought you were got it. Go ahead. That's
Where is he?
Hmm.
Where is Brick? All right, let's see. Celebrimbor focuses on making rings for men. Anatar offers to take care of Aregion's administration and gives him a container which he claims to hold mithril. Outside the city, Adar tells Galadriel that the crown of Sauron's master Morgoth was able to destroy Sauron's previous physical form. He believes that together, the crown and the elven rings of power could destroy Sauron for good. Elendil refuses to pledge his loyalty to Ar-Pharazôn and is sentenced to trial by Abyss, in which he would be thrown into the sea to face a sea monster called the Sea Worm. Muriel claims the right to be tried in Elendil's stead, and the Sea Worm spares her life, and the faithful hail her as the Queen of the Sea. Tom takes the stranger to a forest of dead trees where he is meant to find a magic staff. The stranger has a vision of Nori and Poppy being threatened by the Dark Wizard and must decide between helping his friends and fulfilling his destiny. Galadriel realizes that Sauron has lured Adar's army to Region because he does not have one of his own, and Adar ignores her concerns and begins the besieging of Region. Dun dun dun. That's the episode. And my first note for this was Celebrimbor has lost it. But given he's like under control of Sauron, I think anyone would probably lose it. And also we have Poppy and Mary Mac being cute in this episode. I forget if this is the one that they kiss. Maybe. I think it's this one.
Is this one?
Yeah. Any thoughts on this episode?
I like that the description says the stranger must decide between helping his friends and fulfilling his destiny. And really, in true Gandalf fashion, he ends up doing both.
Yep.
Two birds,
He
one stone.
does.
Always with that guy.
So true. Did you have any thoughts on the episode, Jonathan?
Yeah, this was trying to remember all of the order, but everything just becomes a different episode in my brain of what's happening. But the whole like it's the most frustrating part of the season is watching the constant battle of love between the queen and what's his name, Captain
Elendil. Captain Handsome.
Captain old handsome guy. Yeah, that's like you know, he's gonna go to the wormy boy in the ocean, and then she's like,
Wormy
I'm
boy.
doing a thing, and they're all like, what? And then okay. But then it's like all that for what? Now they can't even be together. So I'm like mixing my episodes of them not being together, but it's just like a constant.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It is a back and forth of them this season for sure. It's hard to keep track of together, not together. Like even at the end, it's like, okay, which way is this gonna go? Gets a little confusing in there for sure. Plus, I feel like this season was a little more what's the word? Like it felt like a long movie in a way. Sorry, what were you gonna say, Jonathan?
Nope, I don't know. I had lots of
Okay.
thoughts, but they're all mixed up, so it'll probably be easier at the end.
Okay. Frick, any thoughts on this episode in particular?
This is the beginning of like my favorite that dynamic of Celebrimbor and Sauron, and sort of seeing how like Sauron kind of plays all the workers
Yep.
and the
Yeah.
artists against him. All of that stuff was really
'Cause
like,
are we seeing this? We're not in the battle yet, right? Like that, or it is. Is he
It's at the
already like in the
beginning.
midst- the cloak of not knowing that there's a war out there? Is that in this episode?
we see that late, like towards the
Okay.
end, but in the middle of it, we see him interacting with the workers, and I'm assuming the fighting's not happening because they would know. But there's a lot of
he's
that,
not
like,
separated from the workers until next
Yeah.
episode.
Okay. All right.
this is where you sort of
Yeah.
see him like being an a-hole to them, and just like
Yeah.
that part of him come out, his obsession. And I
Mhm.
like seeing that. Like, to me, that's when, like, Sauron's cool in terms of, like, you know, being murderous and stuff, but it's the gaslighting and the like manipulating and all that stuff. And I really like how they've shown that in this show.
Yeah.
Like to
Yeah.
see his like real kind of
Mhm.
power. The deceiver, right? That's what they call him. The deceiver.
Great
Mhm.
deceiver.
That's a great
Yeah.
point
Yeah.
because prior to that, you really it's just like we just say that that's what he is.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
this is a whole thing of like seeing
Yeah.
how powerful and how much he's controlling it from so long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Also, along those lines, they keep saying precious quite a bit in this episode, and they continue that in the next couple episodes. I'm like, wow, they're really trying to hammer this home with us. And also Disa and Durin are goals, as they always are. That was my other
Always.
note. Yep. And I also had the most that's what they said from this episode. All right. Shall we move to episode 7, Doomed to Die? All right. The orcs aim their trebuchets at the mountains beyond the city, causing a rock slide that blocks the river upstream and allows them to assault the city's walls on foot.
Mhm.
Elrond comes to Khazad-dûm and asks Durin the Fourth to send aid to Eregion. Durin the Fourth decides not to when Durin the Third attempts to mine more mithril, which could awaken the evil that lives beneath the mine. As Celebrimbor creates 9 rings of power for men, he notices signs that he is trapped in an illusion. He confronts Anatar, who ends the illusion and reveals that Celebrimbor has made the 9 rings using Sauron's blood rather than mithril. Elrond, Gil-galad, and the forces of Lindon arrive and attack the orcs. That night, Galadriel escapes with the help of Arondir, who followed the orcs' trail. The pair sneak into Eregion, and Celebrimbor attempts to escape with the 9 rings and finds Galadriel, who takes them, while Celebrimbor stays to delay Sauron. As the sun rises, a small number of elves are faced with a new wave of orcs led by Adar. Elrond is disappointed when Durin the Fourth does not arrive. Adar stabs Arondir and takes Nenya from Elrond. And this episode was pretty fucking epic. Not gonna lie.
Mhm.
It was very much the penultimate episode, a la, you know, Game of Thrones, like big
Mhm.
battle. It was pretty cool. Thoughts?
This is where Elrond's like they got the catapult thing, or not the catapult, but the thing is like ramming the stone
Mhm.
wall, and he has to
Mhm.
like stop that thing, and then the big trolls come in. Yeah, this whole
Yep.
battle was like intense. It's real sad that the archer girl was like wiped out like immediately.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
know.
And Mordania also died thanks to Sauron
Yeah.
at the beginning.
Oh, yeah. Ooh.
Mhm. Which I'm like, you know, that sucks. But like, you fell for Sauron, so
But that's what he does.
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
He
And then she
deceives-
literally fell for Sauron.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't even just. This is where we see a little bit more that it's not just Celebrimbor, but he's like
Mhm.
messing with everybody, like playing them against each other, and
Mhm.
like show him your blood, and like, ooh,
Yep.
that was
Yeah.
hard to watch. But can we talk about
Yeah.
the troll?
Sure.
that was cool.
Yeah.
That was
That
like
was
super
cool.
metal. That was like and they knew it because they got like, I don't know if you caught like, do you watch the making of things or anything like that after? But they got the singer from Meshuggah, a big metal band, to like sing in, I don't know, troll speak or something and just do that like metal, full on metal song at the
That's
very
cool.
end. If you like the
Oh
very
my
end, they play a
gosh.
song and it's this like
I
song,
didn't know
his tune. It's like this big old metal epic, and
Oh,
anyway, I
cool.
thought that was kind of cool because it's a monster and we're kind of talking about like humanizing and stuff. But if you like look at his face through it, like it's really got like this personality. You're like, oh, I know who that guy is. Like that's that guy in the pit who's like, come on, and like he's just kind of going crazy. So I don't know. I enjoyed the big old troll. He has a name.
Definitely. And there was definitely a lot of callbacks to both Helm's Deep and why am I blanking on the names? The fields of Pelennor Fields / in front of Minas Tirith in The Return of the King, both with them trying to blow up the wall, and then also with a non-Grand to try to break the wall. Also, Elrond and Galadriel kiss. They're related. Not as related as like Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon, but they're distantly related.
See, I kind of just thought that was like an affectionate culture thing. Like, I really didn't think that it was like, I don't know, like sexual.
No,
that was
Yeah.
sexual.
But it was a ruse. It was a ruse, right? It was to throw everybody off.
I think it was just to give her the pin, but
yeah, exactly.
I mean, they've also kind of been hinting at something between them, so it's hard to tell.
But
it's hard to tell.
So we were watching it, and then when we were watching the movies, and my girlfriend and I were like just trying to connect all these things with like who's who and what's the things with the who's it's. Still don't know any of it.
The what's it's galore?
Yeah, the what's it's galore. We finally have a little bit of an understanding. But that's doesn't Elrond marry Galadriel's daughter?
Wait, what?
Yeah.
There's like I don't know, in a book or something that he marries her daughter. So what is this? Is this just part of the rewrite?
That's Twilight shit going on.
Well,
right
also,
there.
I mean, Galadriel's husband, who I'm blanking on his name now, is not there, like he is in Lord of the Rings. Damn it, I'm totally blanking on his name now.
In Lord of the Rings,
I am too, and I should
kind of have a thing for
Same.
Gandalf. That there was like some history there. They're flirty.
Gandalf
Galadriel and Gandalf?
Galadriel?
Yeah.
I think you're just getting that from The Hobbit.
No, I feel like there's a thing in the movies where they kind of make it seem like she has this like, power over people, like everybody, like, including the hobbits, are like, "Ooh, she looked at me," kind of a thing.
Yeah, but like Gandalf is like, talking about how she still looks the same or something. And then she's, I don't know. There's like an exchange about them aging.
I think they're just two very old people, and they're just like, I talk like I'm in a fairy tale to each other. That's how I take it. I don't know.
Not to take that away from you,
though. Oh God, Celebrimbor cutting off his thumb to get out of the handcuffs. That was rough.
That was real rough
to watch. Yeah. You saw it coming, but at the same time, it was just like, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
I don't really know elf how that works. Like, they don't die. So they don't
die of natural causes.
But
they can be killed.
Yeah,
they can be killed in battles, so they can lose.
Or whatever. Yeah.
I mean, at a certain point, it's also like they live forever, and I guess I don't know. I feel like, anyway, I don't mean to take that away from him, but I feel like they're just kind of like, I live forever and I got to get out of this thing. So snip. Anyway. Fun.
One thing also at that point, he realizes that the situation is dire, and one little thumb is a small price to pay for
to save Middle Earth.
Havoc he wrought. Yes, when he let what's his face Sauron come back in.
Yeah, we just talked about Stranger Things and we had to see Hopper's foot get broken by the other dude at the
Oh
Russian
yeah.
prison. That was rough too. Ugh.
Was this
Ugh.
the episode that opened with
Heebie-jeebies.
him with Celebrimbor like in the fantasy world, thinking like everything was beautiful and drinking a cup, or was that
No,
episode
that
8?
was yes, it was
It was
this
this
episode,
one, right?
sorry.
I love the start of that. Like it's just kind of like he's
In La La
totally thinking
Land.
everything was great, and then it switched over, and you saw like he was because I kind of wondered like how is he moving through this world, and they show like he's filthy and like seemingly like little like emaciated a little. I really liked
It's
seeing
been
more of Sauron's power like that.
Yeah, it's been weeks, if not at least a month at this point. So,
Probably not
yeah, who knows how
eating
much he's eating. Yeah.
meat.
Yeah. I did think that Celebrimbor's speech about light to Galadriel was they definitely were trying to bring it back to Sam's speech to Frodo at the end of Two
Yes.
Towers. I'm glad
Yes,
you
I think I made
noticed
that
that
joke
too.
too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Okay. Anything else about this episode before we move on to the season finale?
Nope.
Yeah.
Which I had a lot of notes on.
Oh boy, let's get into it then.
All right, let's go. Shadow and Flame. Durin III is attacked by the Balrog that lives below the Mithril mine. He names Durin the fourth king before fighting back as the cavern collapses. The stranger confronts the Dark Wizard and rejects his offer to supplant Sauron. The Dark Wizard destroys the canyon, forcing the stores to migrate. Nori and Poppy join them. The stranger finds a staff in the canyon and believes he will come to be known as Gandalf. Like, we didn't see that coming. Ar-Pharazôn learns from the Palantir that Halbrand is Sauron and accuses Muriel of aligning herself with him, discrediting the results of her trial. All of the faithful are arrested except Elendil, who escapes to the islands west with the sword Narsil. Kemen claims Pelagir as a military outpost, and Isildur asks Estrid to return to Numenor with him, but Kemen does not allow this, and Isildur leaves Estrid with Hagen, which, I mean, yeah. In Eregion, Sauron kills Celebrimbor and takes the 9 rings from Galadriel, while Adar is killed by disillusioned orcs. Durin IV sends his army to aid the elves, allowing Gil-galad, Elrond, Arondir, Galadriel, and other survivors to escape to a valley north of the city where they resolve to stand against Sauron. So, the reveal of Gandalf. Who was surprised? No one.
No, I haven't even in season 1. He said something about like if you don't know where to go, you can always follow your nose, which is
There was so many hints to him being Gandalf, both to the books and the movies, but at the same time, I don't know. It obviously doesn't line up with the lore. Like, love Gandalf, the character and everything. I just kind of wish they had done him and the Dark Wizard as like the 2 blue wizards, because they did come as a pair.
Yeah.
Like, I think they only did this to like bring in the more casual fans.
Right, I agree.
Yeah. Yeah. They sucked you in, didn't they?
Oh, I love it. But it's something new. So it could be different.
Exactly. And like I feel like by the end of the season I'm like, okay, like that's fine with me. Cool. What did you think, Rick?
The way I think about that stuff is like that was that way. And if you know that, like when books get made into movies all the time, well, the book wasn't like that. And it's like, especially the MCU. You think of like everything that happens in the MCU. It's like there's like they're pulling from all of these things, but if it was that thing, you already know that story. That's kind of not exciting, right? So there's some new stuff here, and it plays with the nostalgia of all of it, and I think that's a good way to approach things, especially as old as all of this is.
Yeah, like I said earlier, I like the creative puzzle because it's kind of like, how do we present this thing in a new and exciting way? And
Mhm.
I like those little things. I actually really like that it was Gandalf. I like at the end of season 1 that they kind of teased that whole thing and you didn't know, is this Sauron or what? Like, I feel like for a lot of people that was genuinely like confusing and they wanted to know. And I love that they played with that. And so even with this one, I think some people were even like wondering, who's the Dark Wizard? And I don't know. I think that's all
A lot of
really
people think
fun.
it's Saruman.
Right.
Yeah,
And
it's
it's
fun to
hard
speculate.
for me to like
Yeah.
separate what my brain from like someone who's just approaching this as like, oh, this new like geeky thing on TV, I'm gonna check it out. But
Your
I
head
imagine
canon.
that it could like just be entertaining and fun to see. I really do like the Gandalf bit because we get to see like why he has a love for halflings and all of that.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
why of all the
Mhm.
people, as he is like one of the few people that's really kind of like wise to this broader history and context of Sauron coming back, why he puts so much faith in like keeps putting faith in these hobbits, whether it's Bilbo or so. I'm into that, but I
Yeah.
will say like this episode, I was really nervous right around episode 7 when I knew like, oh no, they only got one episode left. How are they going to tie this together, especially the stuff that I was really excited about, like the Dark Wizard? And I felt like it was really fast and really like unsatisfying, kind of like this episode. I was like, oh, and then towards the end it was very cheery, like all the elves going,
Yeah.
yeah, and you're like, wait, but what exactly are they cheering? I wasn't totally sucked in. Still having fun. I want to see where it goes, but like I
Yeah,
don't
the
know what
cheering
it
was
is
kind of
about
weird.
the modern sort of like last chapter of things, but I often feel like it's the endings of these shows where I kind of like, oh, I wish they just brought it home a little bit better. And I felt that way for a lot of like show finales or season finales in the last 10
Yeah.
years, I'd
It's
say.
hard to satisfy everyone. That's what they said.
Yeah.
For sure.
I also like the Gandalf thing. Yeah, at some point, you just if you're committed to watching a show like this and you're committed to genuinely giving it a chance, you just got to overlook like they're telling a story. They're telling the story of the prequels to the Lord of
There
the
is
Rings,
a
like how the rings
pussy
get
on the
made.
screen.
Ah, so yeah, they're gonna combine things. They're gonna make Galadriel and Elrond seemingly around the same age. They're going to bring in, Gandalf for the casuals into a different whatever. Like I think the Blue
Sorry,
Wizard
that
thing
is a
could have been really
dog.
cool, but now that we know that he is Gandalf, it's really difficult not to just automatically assume that the Dark Wizard is Saruman.
Yeah.
I mean, they're
Yeah.
even like they're make the same way they gave the actor who plays Gandalf instructions. Clearly, at some point last season, the end of last season, they were like, "Go watch some Sir Ian McKellen videos and do that." Like,
Yeah.
at some point, he got that direction, and they really went with it this year. That made it very obvious who he was going to be, and I feel like they're doing the same thing with the Dark Wizard. I'd be shocked if it wasn't Saruman.
Mhm.
Yeah. It does mess with the lore. Sorry, dogs are being loud. Mess with the lore a little bit in terms of, Saruman was good for a long time, and then it was in Lord of the Rings when he really
Right.
switched sides.
Yeah.
That's
But
why I don't.
it's fine.
And I think that it's going to end
I'm
up
okay
being
with
like a
it.
bait and switch thing.
Yeah.
Where he's just really,
Yeah.
he's not a dark wizard. He just has a means to an end. And his real goal is stopping Sauron, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, which he tries to say that and tries to get Gandalf on his side by saying that. But I mean, he hired those essentially mercenaries
Yeah.
with the
I think
masks.
he's going to be a
so
different dude. We'll
I
obviously
hope
Yeah.
so.
we'll
Yeah.
see.
But we
I hope
have
he's a blue wizard.
I don't think he's
I hope so.
yeah, I hope he is, and I don't think he is Saruman for because if they are trying to tie it so close to the Peter Jackson thing too, is like we saw a different Saruman from Lord of the Rings in The Hobbit, and he was very much like go good guy team, like he was fighting with them in The Hobbit, right? So it would be like a
Yeah.
weird like back and forth. But and they have the two blue wizards to play with, and like they did say that those ended up in the east and explored
See the
other
Knights of
types of
Red
magic.
get work.
That's a good one. So, but there's 5 seasons, right? That were
Is that
approved.
okay?
Yeah, when the first season was like halfway through, they got approved for 5 or something.
Well, at Comic-Con 2 years ago, they said there was going to be 5 seasons.
Yeah, which is incredible.
Yeah.
So I mean, that story is already put together, and I would imagine with 5 seasons, we can see a lot of these things get played out. We can learn about these blue wizards, which I didn't know anything about. What are there different colored wizards? Would a green wizard be the guy covered in poopy in the forest?
No,
Is
that's a
that
brown
how-
wizard.
Is it
Brown.
matching? Is it
That's
too
Radagast the
literal?
brown,
Radagast the brown.
Saruman the
Brown.
white, Gandalf
Okay.
the gray, then turns
Right.
into Gandalf the white.
Right. Okay.
Mhm.
So what is he now? Gandalf the taupe?
Gray.
I think gray. Taupe. Gandalf the beige.
So I think we could certainly see a lot of that stuff. I mean, obviously they may not do any of it because they're just trying to tell these. You start bringing in too much stuff, it could be a lot to take on. That's the stuff
Yeah.
though, like Brick's saying with when the story parts, it's like, oh, get to the it's too slow or whatever. I'm like, we're building stories here.
Right.
Stories are
Yeah.
important, and
Yeah.
Definitely.
I don't know if it's just a thing of our age or whatever. Where like I don't want to be the old guys like the TikToks and all that stuff, but it does change everything. It changes
The
the
ticky talkies.
amount of people that show up on YouTube too. Like people want short form stuff. They need action. It needs to be blah 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 blah. And YouTube is ruining that too with all of these like, an edit every 5 seconds kind of thing. But I don't know if we're just a culture of that by being so digital and so everything has to be like I can watch this and check my phone and then do this and do that and watch the thing. And it's like maybe just sit there for a minute and enjoy these really long scenes. There's certain movies that I really love that just kind of seem to stretch out scenes for so long, and it's I don't know. So I'm okay with all of this. Like this as long as the story is being told. I'm okay with
Definitely.
everything that's been happening.
Definitely. And how epic was the Balrog scene at the beginning? And what a way to start the season finale episode.
It also seems sort of pointless that like he just kind of sacrificed himself. Like he knew he wasn't gonna why not just run and deal with it later? Like I don't know. I thought it was awesome. And I appreciated how cool it looked. And it was a cool send off. But at the same time, I was like, my dude, just run. They don't understand.
That's a good point. He totally could have.
I think it's the sacrifice of like protecting his people kind of thing. Like he is the only thing he can do is I liked it. The only thing he can do is try to stop this thing because he's kind of been broken from this grasp of the ring. So there's like all of that's flooding in, that everything he's just been doing, and because of what he's done, this thing is now able to basically take out his entire people, all of his people. He doesn't know that the cave's going to collapse and save them, but his guess is he's going to have to, try to kill this thing. But
when
apparently...
Jonathan's
oh no, go ahead, Brick.
When Jonathan said to protect his people, like, I'm sorry if I'm basic in this, but it just occurred to me that every group of free people has been trying to protect their people in this. So like one of my favorite parts is Adar. I did like Adar, and I also wish that we got to see them a little more, like the whole humanizing the orcs and how he sees them as his children. And he basically he feels the need to save them from Sauron to the point where he's making deals with elves. We even find out that he was an elf, right? But he loves these Uruk so much that like he's trying to protect them. And then same goes with Durin. Like in his own twisted way, he thinks he's trying to, super suspicious of the elves, trying to just, concerned that they're trying to take what's theirs. And then the elves are like, we need to save our people. The tree's going out. And then the Numenorians are like, oh no, the flood is coming. We need to save our people. It just occurred to me that there's that. Every one of these groups is trying to do that. And then Sauron's essentially going to be like, wah, like you all pay attention to that. And I'm going to play you all. I'm just like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's kind of neat.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's like, I know, again, like I said, I don't know if this is basic, but you said it and I was like,
Zoom out.
oh, okay. Yeah. But
Leave
anyway,
it to Brick to come up with these.
Oh,
Awesome
he
comments.
said it. But Adar,
But you expanded on it too.
I was sad to see Adar go. I knew he had to
Mhm.
go, but I was actually genuinely sad to see him go, and I was sad to see Sauron now like play the orcs, because like we got to see them under Adar being like, oh, we love him and we have babies and everything's cool, and now they're just going to be like total tools for like Gristle for the war machine and stuff. So sorry.
Yeah. Let's see. What else do I have done? Oh, it was really cool to see Narsil. We saw like a hint of Narsil last season, so it was cool. And they definitely did very similar imagery when Elendil pulled it out of its shaft.
Yes.
And as when Aragorn handles Andoril and Andoril, I can never say it, in Return of the King. So that was a nice little. It wasn't like exact same imagery. It was just very similar. So I thought that was cool. Let's see. Oh, and loved Durin coming to the rescue. I figured he eventually would, but you know, it still sucked to see that at the end of last episode, him not get there in time, which they totally were calling back to Helm's Deep with Gandalf and the Rohirrim showing up on the hill. Let's see, what else? Oh, we got the Tom Bombadil song. That was really exciting. And I didn't think it was too cheesy. I feel like they did a good job putting it into the show.
Yeah, I agree. I
Mhm.
mean, I was very happy to have some Tom Bombadil goodness. It was awesome.
Yeah.
I like the songs, and I'm glad that they've become kind of an important part in the like movies. Like Lord of the Rings had Pippin singing Pippin. The Hobbits, I like that they worked that in. So even like the beginning of this, we haven't talked about it, but I love the whole intro of the like sound waves creating the like powder rings and stuff, because that's like really nerdy, deep Tolkien like use of music to create the world and all that kind of stuff. But the song is cool. And this was my Thursday night viewing with the family. The kids are super into it. We watched like all the films over the summer to prep, and they sing that song a lot, like that, and the one you guys heard as we started,
Agatha.
the Agatha song.
Down the road.
Yeah, they're just singing it like all the time. I'm like, oh, that's cool, because
So cute.
I think that's why Tolkien made those songs, right? Real sing-song.
Yeah. Yep. They love to get stuck in your head. That is it for sure. Any other thoughts about the season finale before we talk about season 2 in general?
I'm glad that we got a very, very brief glimpse at Hot Sauron again instead of whatever that was. I was like, oh my God, thank God. Maybe he could just stay Hot Sauron now, but no.
Yeah.
Hot Sauron is human Sauron? Is that what you mean? Human Sauron, right?
Like Sauron.
Halbrand.
When he's Halbrand, not
gotcha.
Anatar.
He is a lot hotter. He doesn't look good blonde. It's funny. Most people will, or not most people, but
most people.
A lot of people, he's not a most people.
Yeah.
I was gonna say a lot of people look better blonde. He does not. All right. So what did we think of this season compared to season 1? Did we think it was better, worse, about the same?
I don't remember season 1 enough. So I can't say. I enjoyed both of them.
Okay.
I like the second season better. I think it moved a lot quicker, which I appreciated. And yeah, no, I like that we had a lot of forward motion. It was almost like the first season was a lot of setup, and then the second season they just like pull the slingshot and went for it. and I'm excited to see
I
where we
agree.
go from here.
Definitely. I pretty much had the same feeling. Brick, what about you?
I have a hard time. Somebody else asked me this, and I brought up that maybe the reason I'm not sure that if I enjoyed this one or not was because there were so many annoying things, particularly like the Numenorians. Like there were a lot of those moments where I was like, God, I hate watching you. Like people show up and I was like, oh, I don't want to watch you because you're so frustrating. But I think I don't know. I just remember really enjoying that first season, and I don't know if it's because it was new and fresh, but and I feel like I felt a little more satisfied or intrigued by the end of the first season. So maybe I'd say season 1.
Okay.
Interesting. Okay.
What do we think about the new characters that they brought in, like Círdan, Estrid, Dark Wizard, Mary Mac, Tom Bombadil? Obviously, probably like some of them more than others. Any like standouts? I thought Tom Bombadil's casting was great.
Yeah, I did too. I wouldn't even consider him like, yeah, I mean, I felt like he had been there the whole time.
Yeah,
Um,
totally.
Estrid was fine. I mean, shouldn't really go anywhere. So we'll have to see. I think there's more. Ask me after season 3. Well, sorry, let me pull up the outline. You had some of those listed on here, right?
Oh yeah, Dark Wizard, Mary Mac.
Okay, yeah. Mary Mac
Círdan.
was cool because what's her face got some, and that was
Poppy.
Poppy
yeah,
got Poppy.
I mean, Poppy got. I mean, she deserves it. She's put up with a lot. She didn't ask to, have this life.
Yeah, she's been through a lot.
Bestie. She deserves to get a little bit of something
Get
from
some.
Poppy.
Totally. Agreed.
What else here? Zombie, Dark Wizard. We'll see. I mean, you had to do something with the wizard plot line, so I guess that was fine.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm very curious about him. We shall see.
For
Rick,
me, as
any
far as a new
thoughts?
character, for the new characters, I guess this is partially why I struggled with season 2. Is there were a lot of new characters, but I don't feel like I really got to spend time with any of them. Like you just listed a bunch of people, like that great elf or whatever, the ship making guy. Like I really don't know much about him. The Dark Wizard, I really don't know much about him. Merrimack and the stores, I really don't know much about them. Like they introduced a lot that. Then I go back to season 1. It was like everybody was new, and I fell in love with the dwarves. I fell in love with like Diza and Disa, and all of them. Like I fell in love with the Harfoots, Poppy, and Nori. Like I just feel like I got to know them more, and kind of like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna follow them. But for some reason, like when you listed those folks, I was like, oh yeah, that's that person, and I'm like, oh, when I list them in my brain. I don't think we know much about any of them.
We really didn't. I'm hoping they stick around next season so that we can. I mean, it's kind of crazy like how many new people they brought in because there's already so many characters, but I mean, if you're a Lord of the Rings fan, you're used to a lot of characters.
Right.
So,
and if you have Amazon money, then you know that there's going to be a big payroll.
Right.
Even that other human, the human girl who kind of is like
Estrid?
In love with another guy. Yeah, like you're
yeah, that's Estrid.
Again, I kind of know her, but like I don't. So anyway.
I will say that some of them though were no-brainers that they were going to have to show up. Like another wizard was going to have to show up, because somebody was going to have to, tutelage the stranger.
Yeah.
Tom Bombadil, not surprised he showed up. Like there's certain characters from Lord of the Rings lore that that they're going to be making appearances. So I didn't have trouble following those people. It was more of the randos that and like Círdan, I didn't have a problem with him because he's a very important elf. So but I get it. There's a lot to follow, and because there's a lot of like elven names and whatnot, like it is tough to
it's very
like
all
John the elf. I'd be like, oh, John the elf, I know him. The guy with the blue eyes and the pointy ears. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess it's the like the show not tell kind of thing. Like I wanna see a little bit more like their dynamics and stuff. But
Yeah, I want more elf.
Totally.
I want more actual elf, like more Disa. Really,
Mm.
that's it. I just want more Disa.
You mean dwarves?
Dwarves. Sorry, I keep doing that. I want
Just
more Disa.
checking. Yes, we love Disa and Durin. They are a couple goals for sure.
they're great.
Yes, also sub titties are the way to go, always. Always gotta put the sub titties on. We kind of talked about this. I don't know if we want to talk about anymore, but like Bronwyn's death and not recasting her.
That's the only thing I can think about since you guys told me she didn't want to come back, and now I'm like, what the hell happened on set that you wouldn't come back?
No,
Well,
she
she-
just
you
wanted to
have to
focus on. She's very
Politically active,
like,
and she's
yeah.
Iranian, so I
Mhm.
think she
It's a lot to
acting
work on.
wasn't. Oh yes, acting wasn't her primary passion at this point in her life.
Okay.
Yeah, pretty
All right.
much.
I missed her.
Yeah, I missed her too. Let's talk about the callbacks to Lord of the Rings. I feel like there was slightly less this season than there were, like, to the movies than last season. I don't know. I don't know if you guys felt the same way at all, or if you felt like there was more. About the same. Did you care? How about this? Did you care at all? Like, did you mind them? Did you feel like it took you out of it at all, or just
I don't think
they
it
were
took me
good
out of
things?
it. I enjoyed it when it was there, and it felt like the stores thing. Like, but I don't know how many people were like, "Oh, those are Deagle and Smeagol." But I don't know. The nerd in me was like, "Oh, that's fun." But I like that they didn't dwell on them. Like even Narsil, they're like, "There's a
Yeah.
sword," and then they're like, "Moving on." So
Yeah. Yeah. Like they just, they just really like to use lines from Lord of the Rings and not like the movies, not necessarily from the books.
Mm.
But I'm okay with it just because I love the movies so much.
Were there a lot of direct lines? Because maybe I probably just didn't even notice. I don't remember them. Yeah.
There are, but yeah, like I said, I felt like there weren't as many as the first season.
Okay.
Yeah. I felt like they really were trying to put them in the first season to let us know it was Gandalf and then not reveal it's Gandalf until it's this season.
Right. Well, I think they were
Yeah.
putting them in the first season to bring in the casuals.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Yeah, I think so too. What about the writing this season compared to last season? Better, worse, same? I think it's better personally. Anyone?
Yeah, I think it's the same. Or maybe.
Sorry. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I feel like the
That's fair
plotting's
enough.
there. It was nice to hear that they got 5 and that maybe they're planning like a beginning and a middle and end. So it's just plotting and events wise, it seems like I appreciate that part. I do struggle with the like wanting to see more. Like I want things to breathe a little bit more and have a little bit more time. That's just me. Like if you're gonna introduce those characters, I wanted to know more about them. The ones that are like small and kind of inconsequential, then whatevs. But some of them seem like they might be more important, and and I don't know how it compares to the last one. For some reason, again, I don't know, but I felt more satisfied by the first season. Just me.
Interesting. Jonathan, any thoughts?
Nope.
Writing, pacing. Okay. No thoughts, just vibes.
Yeah.
How are the vibes?
All right.
Good vibes?
Yeah.
Good vibes.
Good vibes only. Love that. Real quick, what do we think happened with Balrog and Durin? Do we think that obviously Durin dies, or is he gonna have a Gandalf moment and come back?
He's
Oh, no,
dead.
he's a goner.
Yeah. He doesn't
Yeah.
even
I
have a
assume he's
ring
dead
to
too.
help him. He's gone.
That's right.
I'm
Yeah.
hoping that we don't see the downfall of Prince Durin now that he has that ring.
Oh God. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, we might see the downfall of his brother though, which I completely forgot about his brother, and they mentioned it in the finale, and I was like, oh fuck yeah, he has a brother. Shit.
Yeah.
True.
I'm
How
assuming
long
we'll see
did
some
dwarves
tension.
live?
How long
What?
did dwarves live?
Yeah.
A long
That's a
time.
great
too.
question.
I know that they live longer than men for sure. I just don't know, like, if we're talking hundreds of years or what.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know, but I have a dwarf question that I've been meaning to ask people who haven't. You know, when Disa first sees that something's going on and it's in the water,
Yeah.
that
Mhm.
wasn't the Balrog, right? Was that that water thing outside of
A lot of people think it
Durin?
was,
Oh, that's a good point.
yeah,
That like
the
octopus type squid thing?
Octopussy. Yep.
Octo-
A lot of
yeah.
people think it's that. But like her biggest worry and Prince Durin's worry was that King Durin was gonna awaken just some kind of evil. So
Something.
like could have been the Balrog.
Yeah.
Just
Right.
Yeah.
dark
Mhm.
evil things in the dark.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yep.
Yeah, because I thought that was kind of cool. As there's just all sorts of evil things potentially being unlocked.
Mhm.
Neato.
Mhm. All right. Predictions for season 3.
Oh,
What do we got?
Twist. Bronwyn comes back. No.
God.
Yeah. King Durin's alive. He is now Durin the White.
I think when you're talking about the brother, I assume that like because it ends with the dwarves actually finally coming to the rescue and Elrond gets an
Mhm.
explanation. At first I was like worried, like, oh no, Elrond's gonna like be mad at
He's gonna be
Durin or
butthurt.
be mad at yeah. But I think he having been told that no, he's mourning, like I think Elrond will go like, oh, okay, no, I get it.
Yeah.
But maybe now the tension is going to be between Durin and his brother, like over like
Yeah,
how to
I think so
rebuild
too.
the kingdom.
Yeah. I'm excited to see a Rondir with the other elves because he's kind of, been off on his own for a
Mhm.
while. So it'll be cool to see that and hopefully get more from him because we really didn't get much from him this season as much as the first season. I would love to see more of him for plot reasons only.
Yeah, my kids wonder like, why is it in Lord of the Rings all the elves are ninjas? And I was like, I don't know. It just is. They all have these like glamorous fight moments, and then they pose.
Yeah. Because that's just who they are. They're badass at everything.
Where do you all think Sauron's gonna go? What's gonna happen with him?
That's a great
Arm-
question.
He's gonna retreat to
Probably
Mordor.
Numenor.
Oh, you think he? Oh, I think he's gonna go
He's
back
supposed to.
Right.
to
That's
Mordor
right.
and then end up in Numenor at some point because
Yeah.
he's got to go corrupt some men.
That's
Mhm.
right.
Yeah.
Oh, it gets,
So I
it gets
think
freaky
I
in
think
Numenor. That's right.
Oh,
yeah,
don't-
I think
don't-
at some point next
Don't
season.
forget,
he'll probably
Numenor
be
is
Numenor.
supposed to be based on Atlantis,
Mhm. Yep.
so it's
Yep.
got to end up under the water at some point.
It's gonna get wet. That is for sure.
And bloody.
That's what she said.
Yeah.
Also, as far as all sources point to wet.
Wet again. Yeah, that'll be interesting. Also like Isildur and Elendil. I'm just like excited to see the end game with them and see them actually fight Sauron at the end and Sauron's final form. Obviously that's probably not going to be next season, but yeah, I'm excited for the journey. And also especially with Isildur and like, obviously the ring corrupts men very easily, but I feel like if he had the ring at this point, he might have thrown it in the fire. I feel like he's not, or thrown it into Mount Doom. I feel like he's not at that point yet where, I feel like other bad shit needs to happen for him to get to that point where he keeps the ring.
Well, we still need to go. We need to see them found Gondor and Rohan too, because isn't it? It's Elendil and Isildur? Don't they go and they escape and they go form one of the two?
I believe it's Gondor, but
Okay.
I don't know.
Because they're helping from those kingdoms. That's when we end up
Mhm.
with the first big battle. Is they're representing men there, aren't they?
Mhm.
Right?
I don't think they're representing from Gondor. I think they're just representing men from what I
Okay.
remember. I could be
Okay.
wrong, but I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I thought that's when that's the whole thing about like the wonderful age of men and all their great kingdoms. I didn't put two and two together that Isildur like creates those kingdoms, but I guess at this point those don't
Elendil, yeah.
exist. Sorry.
Sorry, no,
Yes.
sorry, I didn't mean to. Yeah.
Which is which? Oh, the dad. Is that the dad?
Dad is
Yeah.
Elendil.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he escapes Numenor. Numenor gets freaky, really freaky. I want to
There's a
see
big old orgy.
And in the lore, at least, I'm sure it probably will.
Okay, I looked
Sauron.
Whenever you're ready.
Sauron has
Tell
a bunch
us,
of
Colleen.
fun. I think you said final form. He gets a lot of fun. He should, at least according to the lore, take on a lot of fun forms. So.
Yes, because at some point he loses the power to shapeshift, and he has to be that ugly dude that we see. Okay, so it said Elendil founded the northern realm of Arnor and its capital city of Anu Minas. His sons founded the southern realm of Gondor. And Anorion founded Minas Anthor, later Minas Tirith, and Isildur founded Minas Ethel, later Minas Morgul.
Okay.
Minas Morgul.
And you said sons.
That's the green city in Mordor that shoots up into the sky in Return of the King.
Yeah.
And you said sons of Elendil, is that right? So, or did sons of Isildur?
Of Isildur.
Gotcha. Okay, so grandsons. Okay, cool.
Or no, I'm sorry, the sons of Elendil. So he has two sons because I think he just has a son and a daughter in like they change it. Euron.
Oh, okay. It is different.
Euron. Yeah.
Okay. I didn't know if there was
her
like
name
a
is hard to
secret
say.
son
Not just
or
me.
something.
Okay.
Yeah. Arian.
Arian.
I have to really think about it.
Interesting.
Yeah. Jonathan, what about you? Any predictions for
No,
season
you guys are way
3?
too deep into the lore.
Mix stuff up. Go.
It's okay, but like I don't know. I like that's what we like doing, and why like me and Johnny do the rewatch streams is because like one of us hasn't seen it before and one of us has, or one of us hasn't seen everything before. So I think it's good to give all the perspectives into these. So you're welcome to say stuff.
No, I don't. I mean, I don't really have any thoughts.
Okay.
On where it could go. Yeah. 5 seasons is a lot.
That is.
Yeah.
I'm thinking. I don't know if there's gonna be time jumps because it's a big time period. So
it can only go up until Isildur cuts off the ring.
But isn't that like a long time? Because the Numenorians age, don't they last longer too? Anyway,
yes. Technically, yes.
Tolkien, Middle Earth world is like, it's epic. Like just timing. Someone earlier was asking like Silmarillion. I was like, that's like ancient history compared to these. To them, to the people in the thing. So.
Well, isn't Celebrimbor the grandson of the dude that made the Silmarils? Yeah.
Yep. Feanor.
Thank you.
Because he had Feanor's hammer.
Yeah.
That he was like, there's a ruby missing. I'm going crazy.
That's right.
Yeah. All right. Any final thoughts on season 2 before we get into our That's What They Said?
That like I think we kind of covered this with Jonathan bringing up some of the like I think people need to get over the treating their old fantasy loves like gospel, or like it's not that precious. Like we kind of have to let it go a little bit and just go with the ride, because it's like, you know, we're talking brand new generations of people that want to enjoy fantasy. And I don't know, I'm kind of the school of thought that like if we want to see Star Wars or Lord of the Rings or whatever survive and keep going, it does have to adjust a little bit and
evolve,
catch a new audience. Same with action figures. Like we're toy people. Like we talk about that all the time. Like young kids aren't necessarily drawn to this stuff the way we are. So if we want it to continue, we have to let it go a little bit and share.
So it's funny because with stuff like this, as soon as people are complaining and then you go, oh no, they confirmed it's an alternate universe, then they're all like, oh, okay. then that's okay. I'm all right with that. That's Mary Jane can be somebody I didn't expect her to be in the Spider-Man movie.
Right.
You know, it's like
Grumble, grumble, grumble.
fucking idiots.
That's pretty accurate. All right, shall we do our That's What They Said for Rings of Power season 2?
Sure.
Are you good to do them, Brick?
Yeah, sure. I do not
Okay.
represent my job. Young people, we're having fun.
Okay. I'll start
Sorry,
and then
public
so
school
be me.
teacher, just if you didn't know.
No, I just like that you were like, young people, we're having fun.
So it'll be me, Brick, Colleen, Jonathan. Everyone
Okay.
have theirs up and ready. That's also what they
Yep.
said. Cool. Grab hold of something.
In time, you will beg me to.
Was it my turn?
Yeah. Oh, I thought we were going clockwise. Sorry.
Oh, it's okay.
Have you forgotten what happened when I tried such a thing?
This heart is different.
Pain must be something you enjoy.
I'm here to coax you.
Have they kindled yours?
Under his hand, I was played with like a harp.
Sauron looked inside you.
I'm coming.
Let me pull it out.
I'm as hard as you.
Did your mother teach you how to do this?
I'm going down.
Tie him up.
They're big.
Give it to him.
So deep.
Take it off.
I will make him choke on it.
The rest of him slithers in.
We need it now.
You're going. You're going so deep into it.
Grip it by the throat.
I can help you do it.
We are close now, Celebrimbor. So close.
I said, take it off.
Take it off. I beg you.
Give it to me. Yay.
I got to say Celebrimbor.
I know. I was like, oh, how perfect. Did not even mean to do that.
You know, I practiced
good.
saying Calibrimbor's name in my head for 3 straight days because I was so taken by it. I was like, I can say it. I know it.
I love it.
There were a lot
All
in
right.
that. I didn't realize there was that many, but you sure found them, Kayla. You found
Oh,
them.
and there's probably more. Yeah, probably. Those are the ones I got for now. Thank you for obliging me with that. I love the accents as well, as Wingerloo says. But yeah, before we geek the F out of here, thank you guys for joining me. Very much appreciate everyone's perspectives on season 2 of Rings of Power. And before we go, let everyone know where they can find you and what you have going on, starting with Mr. Brick. You want to go first?
Yeah, first, thank you for having me. And it's been too long, friend. It's been a while.
I know.
You can find me
Yeah.
here on YouTube, Brick Something, and on IG, Brick.something.
Perfect. Colleen, what about yourself?
You can find me on the podcast, The Broadcast with Amanda Shani and Colleen, or you can find me on any of the socials under Colleen84. I'm not very creative.
Yes, you are.
Colleen, where are you from originally?
Long Island.
Oh, because when you just started talking about your podcast, you sounded like you were like Minnesota. It was so thick of a Minnesota thing.
Kind of.
Yeah.
Is it really?
Minnesota.
Yeah,
I'm a
it was
woman of
crazy.
many accents. I have many names.
Well, I'm Nostalgia Unboxed, and you can find me everywhere as that. And for anybody that has
Anything
ordered stuff from me, my pre-ordered stuff, my window frame things, those 3D printed parts are arriving this week. So then I get the fun time of spending multiple days putting those orders together and then realizing people bought other stuff and not just those things. So then I have to make more stuff and then go, why did I wait to the last minute to make the extra things? So it's going to be a fun week. That's all I'm saying.
Awesome. Well, thanks again for joining. If you want to follow us, GTFO channel, normally I have my co-host Johnny with me, but once again, couldn't make it here today. But you can follow us on social media at GTFO channel, pretty much just on Instagram at this point. And right now, hopefully we'll get back on track with our Trek series on Thursday. We've kind of had a break. Yes, Johnny says, I'm sorry I missed being with you all. We missed you too. But on Fridays, this Friday and next Friday, we'll be talking about Stranger Things Season 4. So make sure to tune into that. And I think that's about it. Make sure to smack that like, smack that subscribe, smack that bell icon, everyone. And let's geek the F out of here. I'm not going to play music, so this is going to be a hard out.
Bye.
Peace out. End